Well, good evening, folks. It's a cold autumnal day here at Slick Central. It's the weather's definitely turned, but it's still bikeable. And I have done some work on the Diversion 600. If anybody's watched my previous videos about this bike, you'll know that I've had the clutch off, and I bought the wrong clutch plates actually, and I put it back together using new clutch springs, but the old plates. Now these are the old plates. Look, these are the old driven plates there, and you can see that they're not exactly brilliant. And I noticed that the clutch on the bike kind of dragged a bit. It was a bit crunchy putting it into gear, and I thought, the bike's done 40,000 miles, and those plates aren't really right. I put it back together because I was really wanted to use it, and thought, yeah, it'll be okay. And I sanded off the rust because it had sat for ages. So that, I think they're buckled slightly, and it makes the clutch drag. These are new plates. As you can see, they've got little dots on there, which supposedly facilitate oil going onto the drive plates, the sort of cork or fibre ones. So I thought, because the bike has turned out to be so great to ride and a real pleasure to use, I thought I'm going to do it properly and take the clutch off and replace it. So this video is just, I know it's not a Royal Enfield, but it's still similar principles, and I thought I'd just share it with people who, if you're interested. So these are the new plates that I bought. I got those off Scooter and Bikes on eBay, and I bought the cork or fibre, whatever they are, plates from Yambits. Bought them separately. You can buy a full kit from China, but I just didn't want to wait. So you can see that's the old clutch. You can see the steel plates. Definitely the scoring on them's me and wet and dry sandpaper from before. But I think they're buckled slightly. They must be. I mean, they don't sit straight on a piece of glass. So what I did was I removed the clutch casing, and this is where I'm pleased that I've used stainless Allen bolts, because it comes straight off. And then bought these clutch plates from, as I say, Yambits. They turned up a couple of days later. I've bought a lot of spares off them over the years because I'm quite partial to Yamahas. And so I got the clutch plates, and I also got a new tab washer for the clutch centre. So there's the old one next to the new one. Always advisable, I think. And I knew I'd be taking the clutch centre off and the clutch basket as well, as you'll see in subsequent photos. Now, there's all sorts of clutch locking devices to enable you to undo that central nut, but if you use a rattle gun like that, it just comes straight off, and that's with no clutch plates in it. You don't need that locking tool that costs about 15 quid or something to lock the basket to the central clutch centre. You just use a rattle gun with a big socket on it, and having obviously flattened the tab washer, I would recommend buying a rattle gun because they are very useful. I wish I bought one last year actually to do my Royal Enfield dampers in the forks. So there's the clutch centre. Now you can see there's wear on the alloy. That's from the clutch plates, the metal ones. It's the metal plates that have done that. So these pictures here show just what can happen in 40,000 miles with an engine with oil in it. You can see there's where the metal plates, when you pull the clutch in, obviously you're separating the drive plates from the driven plates, and the metal's done that because they're steel plates on an alloy clutch centre. That groove in the middle there, that's not a crack. I thought it was a crack at first. It's not, it's just the way it was cast. It's a little casting mark. But you can see that every single face has got wear on it from the metal plates, quite obviously because you've got steel moving up and down a lot on alloy. and it's on every single one of them. So what I decided to do was I used a file on the actual clutch basket, but I used a sort of rat tail file on an electric drill like that. Now that didn't touch the bottom of the groove, the little troughs, so it wasn't making that basket any thinner, but it was perfect for getting rid of the wear. It wasn't huge, but it's still there. You can see it was indented, so it's not taking off huge amounts of metal. This is the actual clutch basket. Now, if you look, you can see where these are the drive plates that are doing this. The cork, we know the fibre ones. So you can see there, look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got 8 marks on there, and it's on every single face of the clutch basket. So it's a question of filing those off with a flat file. Again, it's not taking off huge amounts of metal. I did this years and years ago on things like the original Triumphs, Bonnevilles and Norton Commandos and things, and you can see it. That's after I filed it. So it's not taking off masses of metal. And of course, there is there's a gap between the tongs of the plates that slot up and down there, So it's making the gap very, very slightly bigger, but it's far better that than having worn areas that can stick. So that's it. The clutch basket, having filed it with a straight file. And obviously, having done that, I then rinsed it out in a bucket of my favourite solvent, namely petrol. And to get all the aluminium dust effectively off it. Now that's a new tab washer. Now, but when you put the tab washer on, you're better off bending the tab, one of the tabs, up a bit, because once it's flat on the clutch centre and you've tightened the nut up, it's hellish to get a screwdriver behind it between that and the clutch centre to bend that tab. It's a real pain. So you can see it's bent up slightly there. So when the nut goes on, you can still get the nut on, but at least then you can get an implement behind one or both of the little tabs there. On the Yamaha, you've got a dot on the clutch centre. You can see it, that looks like a drilled hole on it, which is exactly what it is. And then there's a corresponding dot on the actual clutch, the bit with the springs on, and you have to line those two up. I'm not entirely sure why. It might be something to do with weight or casting, or I don't know. Maybe they balance it, or when they produce the bike. If anybody knows, please enlighten me. But you have to line those dots up. And now here, another use of a rattle gun. Now, and before anybody goes shock horror, no, I didn't use the rattle gun to tighten these up fully, because they're on alloy, like little tubes, cylinders, and it's very, very low torque. So all I used the rattle gun for was just a quick tightening, or to the point where I stopped before it actually bottomed out, and then I did the final tightening with a socket. But the rattle gun was good for, it saves an awful lot of twisting of a socket over 5 clutch springs. So it just, I didn't nip them up at all. I just got them to the point I thought, yeah, that's far enough, and then got the socket on. And you'll see there's like a serrated tooth thing in the middle there. That's for the clutch mechanism. And on the Diversion, it has to face backwards when you put your clutch case in with the lever, the clutch operating lever, back onto the bike. If it's not in that position, facing backwards, you cannot get the clutch operating arm to engage with it, and you end up cursing, and as I did the first time I ever did it. So you get that facing backwards, and then I lined up the clutch operating arm, and that's about the angle it should be at when it's engaging. It means sort of, as I say, if you get it wrong, if you get that little central bit with the serrated thing on it twisted around, it will not engage. So that's about the angle that it should be. So you can see the stainless Allen bolts, which made life a lot easier. I didn't need a new gasket, and here it is. I've got the bike back together. The clutch is certainly better, feels smoother, and there is the bike having just come back from a little test run. Eagle-eyed viewers, if interested, I hope, will notice something different about the front mudguard. Yes, I'll do a quick video about that later on. But in the meantime, take care on your bikes. I hope that's useful to some people, and I'll post again soon. Bye for now.